help me sort this out. Here's what I'm trying to find an answer to. I need your help. How does anyone ever get their mind changed when they believe one thing and then they start believing something completely different? In other words, how do people's minds get changed? Because it's got to be so difficult. One of my favorite videos I've made on this channel is where I'm talking about identity protective cognition. And in case you're not familiar with that concept, it's that people have certain beliefs that are very much a part of their identity. Typically, they come down to especially religion and politics, but it can be a lot of other things. But when something's so much a part of a person's identity, if they hear another person say something that is in contrast to their own belief, that person themselves often gets offended and upset at the other person. They feel attacked. They feel that their identity is being attacked. And whatever the other person said only reinforces what the person already believes because they feel that they're attacked. And so, with that being said, how do people's minds get changed on issues that are such an important part of it? I mean, in a way, it's good to be closed-minded for the way of if you know what you believe and you know what you stand for, we respect that. But on the other end of it, being closed-minded also will not get you very far in life either. So you have to be open-minded, but at the same time, you have to know who you are and be a confident person to get far in life as well. But I can already tell you at age 37, my perception has been changed on things that were definitely a part of my belief system, and then I changed. And so it's like, if everyone's walking around with all these beliefs, and if it was important for me to convince you of something, how would I even do that if you're fundamentally opposed to it? Now here's the thing about it. Here's the twist. Let me go ahead and start with the twist. Because I'm emotionally intelligent, I have zero interest in converting you to my belief systems. Because I already sort of believe it's impossible to convert you if you already are set on believing something else. But it does make me wonder though, how does a person's mind get changed? Let me give you this example, okay? Because I know that I'm in the minority on this one, so this is a great one to use, okay? So if I were to tell you, hey, you know what? You could become a vegan, and a lot of your health problems would go away. You wouldn't really have to worry about being overweight, and you'll be healthier. Now, okay, end quote. There's my pitch. Well, already most people hearing that, I'd say at least 94% of you watching that are thinking, you are so wrong, Nick. Where are you going to get your protein? You know, and you want to go down that hole. But see, that's the thing. 6% of the American population is vegan, which I am. Now, again, I'm emotionally intelligent. I have no desire for you to become vegan. I'm confident in myself. Therefore, I don't need you to change your belief to confirm what I believe. I need no confirmation on my beliefs. I'm confident. And that's what confident people do. They're not trying to change other people's minds. We can have an intelligent conversation, but just know in the end, I'm not actually trying to convince you to become a vegan. But for the sake of this discussion, for the sake of helping me understand, how does anyone's mind ever get changed if they're so caught up in their identity protective cognitions? So it's funny because I've been a vegan for 5 years, okay? So, I mean, look at me, all right? So I'm in the perfect BMI for my height, which is 5'9". I'm right at 165 pounds, give or take about 2 pounds, depending on what week it is and how much water I drank that morning. Okay, but I'm perfectly in the BMI. I'm not overweight. I'm not underweight. Okay, for about a decade, I had dyshidrotic eczema. Google that. Well, that's hard to spell. But anyway, I had these blisters and boils, and they itched, and they caused my hands to cramp up. I suffered that for years, like a decade of my life. I couldn't breathe out of this side of my nose for nearly 20 years. And I was very allergic to pets, but that was the least of my worries. But in becoming a vegan, all those things went away. You know, so for me, I would never go back because I remember how miserable I was for all those years dealing with all those health issues. It's great being able to breathe. It's great being able to have no issues with my skin anymore. And I guess it's great being able to pet a cat or a dog and not have a headache and itchy eyes for the rest of the night. Instead, I can pet a cat or a dog and rub my face and neck and nothing happens. That's pretty cool. So for me personally, I have no desire to ever go back. And so many people that have become vegan have had similar stories. I've now lost count of the number of men I've talked to that they and their wife couldn't have a child, and then they became vegan, or specifically the man became a vegan, and within a few months his wife gets pregnant, you know? So I've heard so many stories like that. And by the way, if you suffer from sinus and allergy, I already know the answer. It's dairy. You have to cut out dairy 100%. Dairy is related to your sinuses. But most people, again, identity protective cognition. Well, I need the protein. And see, that's what people have been brainwashed to believe, that you have to get enough protein. You can't be healthy if you're not getting this from animals, you know? And it's funny because in real life, name one person who doesn't have an eating disorder that you know in real life who's not getting enough protein. Name one person. And eating disorders don't count because that's something completely different. I'm waiting. Nobody? Exactly. In real life, you don't know anyone who has access to food and isn't getting enough protein. You don't know anyone. But it's this thing that people have been believing their whole life. See, that's the thing. People want to belong. People want to fit into society. So if everyone else believes that you have to eat animals and animal products, dairy, eggs, and meat to be healthy, if that's what most people are doing, that's normal, then that's what most people are going to do, right? But for me, I've never cared about being normal. So that's one of the many things that makes me weird. I mean, there's lots of things, but that's one of the many things that makes me part of the minority, right? So I've shared that with you. But still, none of you watching this are going to become a vegan. You're like, well, that's interesting. And some of you are maybe well, maybe it's just a coincidence, right? But no one's convinced. None of you 7 minutes ago your minds were changed within 7 minutes of me talking about this. See, that's the thing. How do people's minds ever get changed? Because, and I would even say too, that it's religion, politics, and food. Food is a big part of people's identity, and they do not want to change that for anything. But I guess, and I want you to take over the mic in the comments and lead the conversation after this. But I think part of it for me is if you're ever going to have a chance at convincing someone of something that they are fundamentally opposed to, I think the first place to start is by yourself already being an emotionally intelligent, confident person who doesn't need that person to believe you anyway. Now granted, I know good and well that me being a vegan personally not only is a smart decision, but it'd be dumb not to, because I'd be unhealthy to go back to that. And I know that it's not a coincidence with all my health issues that went away after all those years. But that's just one belief. For all of my beliefs that often are not part of the mainstream, and I've made videos about this, I'm part of the 20% of parents who I don't spank my kids. They're very well behaved. Their teachers, their friends, parents will specifically tell us how well behaved they are, and they're not used to kids being that well behaved. We're used to hearing that as parents. But I don't discipline my kids. I manage their expectations and their emotions and their needs. They're hungry. They're tired. They're lonely. They're bored. They're sick. And I know that. And I'm always ahead of them and helping them with those things. But see, again, most people, what do they want to say? Well, my daddy spanked me and my mama slapped me on the jaw and I turned out all right. You know, they want to go back again to what's normal. People want to belong. They want to fit in. And I think when a confident person who has a different belief system, like I do, I don't need to convince anyone anyway. And maybe that's the irony though. Maybe that's where you have to start. You have to already not care about the other person's mind being changed. And by not caring about it, you're not putting that person on the defense and even letting them off the hook once they find out about your belief. Basically making it very obvious that you don't need them to believe what you believe, because most people are insecure. Most people are consumers, not creators. Most people want to belong and do whatever mainstream is doing. So therefore, they have that mentality that, well, I'm normal. You're not normal. I need to convert you. But really that's just, they need confirmation because they're an insecure person. And it goes back to social media. What do people do? It's the same thing as Snow White. Facebook mirror on the wall. Who's the coolest? Who's the smartest? Who's the funniest? Who's the prettiest of them all? Right? People look for confirmation because they themselves don't have a full sense of their own identity. But people like me, I'm confident. I know who I am. I'm completely comfortable believing things that most people don't believe and doing things differently than most people. I think that, if anything's going to change someone's mind, I think that has to be what's going on in your mind to begin with. But the paradox is, if you're confident, why are you trying to change someone else's mind anyway? Tell me all about it. Comment section. Can't wait to hear from you.